Understanding dimensions and measures is very important in knowing how data is processed in Tableau. When we connect to a data source, Tableau assigns each field in the data source as a dimension or measure in the data pane. Dimensions are typically values that can be grouped or categorized. To further illustrate, let's take a look at a field under dimension. I will drag ship mode to rows. Ship mode contains 4 groups. Customers can choose if they want their orders shipped through first class, same-day delivery, second class, or standard class. Because the values in ship mode field can be classified into 4 groups, that makes it a dimension. The same is applicable to other fields listed under dimension. Measures are usually metrics or numeric data, for example, profit. In Tableau, measures are aggregated, and I'll show you what I mean by that. For a quick view of our data, I will click on the View Data button, and this will load up our data. I'm going to scroll all the way down because I want us to look at the profit field. What we notice is that the profit field contains the individual profit for each transaction. I'm going to close this box. When we drag profit to either column or row, it shows us the sum of profit. This means that profit has been aggregated as sum. Tableau summed each profit and gave us one aggregate value of, if you just move your mouse across the bar, you see that the profit is 286,397. So what Tableau has done is to sum all the individual profit, and now we have one aggregated value of 286,397. Also, measures are aggregated up to the level of granularity set by the dimension in the view. In other words, dimension sets the level of detail of the view. For example, what we made as profit depends on if we're asking about the total profit we made across the business, which would be 286,397, or if we're asking about the profit we make across different regions. Now we have the profit broken down across regions, or we may want a level of detail based on subcategory.
I'm going to create a new sheet. Another important thing we notice in the data pane is the difference in color of the fields. Tableau uses color blue to indicate discrete data and green to indicate continuous data. Generally, dimensions are discrete values and measures are continuous values. However, this is not always the case. Discrete data is a numeric data that includes whole or concrete numbers. They are individually separate and distinct. Another way to think about discrete data is if you can count it individually, it is a discrete data. For example, the population of a city, the number of customers who bought an item, or the number of computers in your department. Continuous data typically involves fluctuating numbers between two presumed points. They are values that cannot be counted in a finite amount of time because there is an infinite number of values between any two values. Now, I know that's a mouthful, but an example of a continuous data would be temperature or age. Someone's age can be 35 years, 11 months, 1 day, 9 hours, 25 seconds, 9 milliseconds, 8 nanoseconds, and so on. As mentioned earlier, dimensions are typically discrete and measures are typically continuous, but this is not always true. It is possible to have a numeric dimension that is continuous or a measure that is discrete. For example, order date is currently a dimension. I'm going to drag order date into columns. Order date is a dimension because Tableau automatically grouped the dates into 4 distinct years based on transactions that happened in those periods. We can change order date into a continuous field by right-clicking and changing discrete to continuous. Tableau is now treating the years not as a separate entity, but as 2018 rolling into 2019 and 2019 rolling into 2020 and so on. And by the way, between 2018 and 2019, there are quarters, there are months, weeks, days, hours, and so on. Notice that order date color changed to green. I can also change order dates to continuous on the data pane. That way, Tableau would always treat order date as a continuous field anytime I use it in a view. Right now, it is changed to continuous on the shelf and is only applicable to any view that is currently within the workspace. But if I go to order date and right-click from here and then change it to continuous, we notice that the color changed to green. So going forward, if I use order date, Tableau would recognize this by default as a continuous field. I'm going to change it back to discrete. Similarly, we can change a continuous field into a discrete field. I'm going to drag discount to columns, and now we have it as a continuous field. If I right-click and change to discrete, now Tableau treats discount as a discrete unique value.